The 86-year-old man held his white cane with both hands as the clerk read the number into the quiet courtroom. $14,200 in unpaid lawn fines. Not medical bills, not rent, lawn fines. Judge Judy looked down at the complaint, then up at the old man standing at the defense table, and for the first time that morning, the room seemed to stop breathing. His name was Thomas Avery. He was a Vietnam veteran, a widower, and almost completely blind. He wore a faded navy cardigan over a white shirt that had been pressed carefully, the way a man dresses when court still means something to him. On his lapel was a small service pin. In one hand was the cane. In the other was a folded envelope full of notices he could not read. Across from him stood Douglas Pike, the president of the Meadow Creek Neighborhood Association. He was 62, neat, confident, and dressed in a gray suit that looked a little too expensive for a dispute over grass. He had come prepared with photographs, invoices, bylaws, certified mail receipts, and a tone that suggested the case was already over. Mr. Avery has ignored this association for years, Douglas said. The rules are clear. Lawn height, edging, weeds, exterior maintenance. Every homeowner signs the same documents. He has simply refused to comply. Mr. Avery did not answer. He turned his face slightly toward the sound of Douglas Pike's voice, but his cloudy eyes did not settle on him. He stood very still, as if he had learned long ago that moving too quickly in unfamiliar rooms could cost him his balance. Judge Judy held one photograph between her fingers. It showed a small one-story house with a patchy front yard, a cracked walkway, and a line of shrubs leaning toward the porch. The grass was long in some places and bare in others. It was not a mansion. It was not a threat to the neighborhood. It looked like a home that had been loved by someone who could not quite keep up anymore. "You are suing him for $14,200, Judge Judy asked. "That is the outstanding balance, Your Honor," Douglas said. "Fines, administrative charges, mowing fees, late penalties, and lien preparation costs." "Lien preparation," she repeated. "Yes, ma'am. The board authorized a lien against the property." A small sound moved through the gallery. Not a gasp exactly. More like people shifting because they had just realized the number on the page was not merely a number. It was a house. Judge Judy looked at Mr. Avery. "Do you understand what he is asking for?" Mr. Avery swallowed. His voice came out low and careful. "I understand they say I owe money, ma'am." "Do you understand that if this lien stands, it could affect your home?" He nodded once. "My wife planted the rose bushes out front. I would like to die in that house." The courtroom went silent again. Douglas Pike shifted his folder from one hand to the other. Judge Judy turned back to him. "Tell me how we got to $14,200 because grass does not grow that expensively." Douglas cleared his throat and began. The first notice had been sent 4 years earlier, then another, then monthly fines, then contracted mowing, then fees for the contractor's visit even when no mowing occurred, then certified letters, then attorney review, then more fines. He spoke smoothly. He called it a process. He called it uniform enforcement. He called it protecting property values. Judge Judy let him talk. That was the danger. She was waiting for him to explain the part he thought made him look reasonable. Mr. Avery stood beside the table and listened to his own life being turned into charges for hearings and letters he had never known existed. Judge Judy looked down at the file again. Then she looked at the old man, at the cane, at the folded notices, at the small pin on his lapel. In that courtroom, rules were never supposed to speak louder than humanity. Douglas Pike placed a stack of photographs on the table with the confidence of a man laying down proof. They showed Mr. Avery's lawn in summer, fall, and early spring. "This was not one mistake," Douglas said. "This was a pattern." Judge Judy picked up the photographs but did not look at them immediately. She looked at Douglas instead. "Who took these?" "Our compliance coordinator." "Name?" "Elaine Porter." "Is she here?" "No, Your Honor. I have her reports." "I did not ask if you had her reports. I asked if she is here." Douglas hesitated. "No." Judge Judy set the photographs down. "Continue." He continued, but his rhythm had changed. He explained that the association sent notices to every homeowner by mail. He explained that each notice gave Mr. Avery 10 days to cure the violation. He explained that if the violation remained, a fine was automatically added. He explained that after 3 fines, the association had the right to hire a lawn crew and charge the homeowner. "And did you hire a lawn crew?" Judge Judy asked. "Yes." "How much did the lawn crew charge you to cut his grass?" Douglas opened a page. "Typically between $35 and $45 per visit." Judge Judy looked at the complaint. "But you charged him $275 per violation. That includes administration." Administration is a lovely word. It can hide almost anything. A few people in the gallery lowered their eyes, trying not to react. Douglas stiffened. "Your Honor, with respect, the board cannot make individual exceptions every time someone has a personal difficulty. We have a community to run." Judge Judy's head lifted slowly. "A personal difficulty? I only mean that we cannot verify every claim." Mr. Avery turned slightly. "I never claimed anything from them, ma'am. I did not want trouble." Judge Judy's expression softened, but her voice stayed sharp. "Mr. Avery, when did your wife pass?" 6 years ago this December." "And who took care of the yard before that?" "Mostly Ellen did. She liked being outside. I trimmed what I could. After my sight went, I held the bag for her. She would tell me when to stop walking." Judge Judy asked, "When did your sight go?" "It started before she died, got worse after. The doctors said there was nothing more to do. I can see light sometimes, shapes if they are close, not grass, not paper." Douglas Pike looked down at his documents. For the first time, he seemed aware that paper could become very heavy. Judge Judy reached for the certified mail receipts. "These notices, were they ever sent in large print?" "No, Your Honor. Our system generates standard notices." "Were they ever read to him by phone?" "That is not our procedure." "Did anyone knock on his door?" "We are not required to do that." "Did anyone from your board at any point in 4 years speak to this man before placing a lien on his home?" Douglas opened his mouth, then closed it. "There were letters." "That is not what I asked you. Not in person, no." The bailiff shifted his weight near the wall. Mr. Avery kept both hands on the top of his cane. His shoulders had begun to tremble, but his face remained composed. There was a dignity in him that did not ask for pity. That made the room feel worse. Judge Judy looked through the file 1 page at a time. The fines even continued during a month when the lawn crew invoice showed no service because the grass had already been cut. "Mr. Pike," Judge Judy said, "I am looking at a charge for a mowing visit on June 8th. Yes, your own invoice says no mowing performed. The crew still came out. And you charged a blind veteran $275 because somebody looked at his yard and left?" Douglas tried to keep his voice even. "The charge was consistent with the schedule." Judge Judy leaned back. She was quiet for a long moment, the kind of quiet that made people review every word they had said. Then she asked Mr. Avery, "Do you have family nearby?" "My son died before Ellen. My daughter lives in Arizona. She calls Sundays. I did not tell her about this until last month." "Why not?" He lowered his head. "A man wants to handle his own house." That answer did something to the room. It was not dramatic. It was not loud. It was worse than loud, because it was true. Judge Judy looked again at the complaint. $14,200, 4 years of fines, a lien on a widow's rose bushes and a veteran's porch. All of it built on letters a blind man could not read. And then she put the file down. Judge Judy removed her glasses and held them in one hand. She looked first at Douglas Pike, then at Mr. Avery, then back to the file as if she wanted the paper itself to explain how it had come to this. No one moved. She leaned forward. Her voice dropped, but it carried to every corner of the courtroom. "Mr. Avery," she said, "when was the last time you saw your lawn?" The question was so simple that for 1 second nobody understood why it had not been asked before. Mr. Avery's hands tightened around the cane. He turned his face toward her. "I reckon the last time I truly saw it was the spring before my Ellen got sick. There were yellow flowers by the steps. I have not seen the grass since, ma'am. Judge Judy did not answer right away. The gallery was perfectly still. Douglas Pike stared at the table. Judge Judy put her glasses down beside the file. "There it is," she said. "That is the question your board never asked." Douglas tried to speak. "Your Honor, the association—" "No," Judge Judy cut in. "You have had plenty of time to tell me about the association. Now I am going to tell you about this court." He stopped. "This man is 86 years old. He served his country. He lost his wife. He lost his sight. And for 4 years, instead of sending one human being to knock on his door, your organization sent paper he could not read and penalties he could not pay." Her voice grew harder, not louder, harder. "You charged him for letters. You charged him for visits where no work was performed. You charged him administrative fees that appear to be many times the actual cost of the service. And when that was not enough, you prepared to threaten the home where his wife planted roses." Douglas lifted one hand. "The bylaws authorize. I do not care what clever language you buried in your bylaws. A rule applied without judgment is not fairness. It is machinery." That sentence landed like a gavel before the gavel ever moved. Mr. Avery's mouth tightened. He was trying not to cry. The effort made his whole face older. Judge Judy looked at him more gently. "Mr. Avery, did you ever intend to ignore them?" "No, ma'am. I did not know how bad it had gotten. I knew the yard was not like Ellen kept it. I knew that. But I did not know about all this money. If someone had come to your door and told you plainly, would you have asked for help?" He nodded. "Yes, ma'am. I would have been embarrassed. But I would have asked." Judge Judy turned back to Douglas Pike. "Embarrassment is not a business opportunity." No one in the gallery even breathed. She gathered the papers into a neat stack. "Your claim for $14,200 is dismissed. The administrative fees are unreasonable. The charges for services not performed are not recoverable. The late penalties built on unread notices are not recoverable. And I am ordering that the association release any lien or pending lien filing connected to these fines." Douglas's face flushed. "Your Honor, the board will have concerns about precedent." Judge Judy looked at him over the bench. "Good. Let this be precedent. When an elderly blind veteran lives in your neighborhood, you knock on the door before you count the money." That was the moment the room changed from silent to almost relieved. Not loud, not celebratory, just relieved. The way people feel when something that should have been obvious finally becomes official. Mr. Avery bowed his head. One hand stayed on the cane. The other moved slowly to the service pin on his lapel. "Thank you, ma'am," he said. Judge Judy's face softened again. "Mr. Avery, you should never have had to stand here for this." For the first time, his shoulders lowered. Not much. Just enough to see the weight leave him. Judge Judy directed that the dismissal be sent immediately to the association. With Mr. Avery's permission, she also asked that a local veterans volunteer program be given his contact information. He nodded. It did not feel like charity. It felt like dignity. Douglas Pike packed his papers slowly. The same papers that had looked so powerful 10 minutes earlier now looked small. Numbers, notices, fees, and procedures had marched into court as if they were the whole truth. But they had met one question. When Mr. Avery turned to leave, the bailiff stepped closer, not to hurry him, but to guide him. The old man moved carefully, his cane touching the floor once, then again, each tap sounding softer than the silence that had come before. At the door, he paused. He did not turn fully around. He only lifted his face toward the bench. "My Ellen would have liked you," he said. Judge Judy looked down for half a second, just long enough to hide whatever passed across her eyes. Then she nodded. In that courtroom, rules were never supposed to speak louder than humanity. That day, they did not. And if you believe in courtroom moments where the overlooked are finally seen, subscribe for more stories of Judge Judy making things right.